So I was today years old when I learned that Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with 9/11 at all. That's news to me. I thought that was like the whole reason we knew about him, or like that was like the whole thing. Like, yeah, Bin Laden, but like, Saddam Hussein. They're both just like the partners in crime that did the 9/11 thing or whatever. Except for, it's not even true. And so, I've learned so much about this whole thing the past couple days, and it's actually a ridiculous situation. It's like way more f***ed up than people realize, probably. For all the young people that don't really know about what 9/11 was all really about, I'm going to fill you in. Or even for people that are my age that experienced it and still had no real idea what was happening. Like it was a conspiracy and it was shady and it was weird at the time that it was happening. And so there's been so many conspiracies about it and so many documentaries about the conspiracies. And there's always that joke that's like, oh, an Iraqi and an Iranian attacked us on 9/11, so we declared war on Afghanistan. And there's always that kind of jokey sort of like situation that's proposed about it. And it's funny because that statement is true, but we never stop to think about what that means or why that happened. And it's funny because there's a lot about the whole 9/11 thing that we don't think about what it really was or what happened. Like, I'm pretty sure that just about everybody like kind of has no real idea what any of it was about. Like we always say, oh, we just faked 9/11 because we wanted to invade them for oil. But I kind of think nowadays that I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think we wanted to stop them from making nuclear weapons. The whole thing about invading Iraq or, going after Saddam was because we thought they had WMDs. Oh, they're going to make nukes or they're going to make chemical weapons or something. And they just attacked us in 9/11. So if they're making nukes and stuff, we got to stop them. And so I think that's what the whole thing was about. We didn't really care if it was legal or moral. We went over there and we were like, you guys are trying to make nukes? You can't do that. There's like, no, we're not. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. And then we just left. This was like 20 years ago, but I kind of remember when the 9/11 thing happened. And I remember when we went to war, and then I remember when the war ended recently. And so it's funny because I've kind of watched the whole thing unfold, and it's kind of over now. And it's funny to look back on the situation and think, oh, we did f*** that up. We did go in there guns blazing, being assholes, realized we were wrong. It was kind of awkward, and we just kind of backed out. And now everybody knows that we're assholes. And we revealed ourselves when we didn't even really need to. And no, but so what's crazy about this whole thing is that, okay, so what's interesting that I don't think a lot of people know is that Saddam Hussein was the president of Iraq. Like a legitimate government official, like the president. And so what happened after 9/11 is we went to Iraq and indirectly overthrew their whole government by murdering their president. And then we kind of left because we thought he was possibly trying to make nukes. But then we kind of realized that, oh, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, but he didn't have anything to show for it, so maybe we stopped it before it happened. Maybe it was never even a threat. Who knows? It's like, we always want to be the world police as America, but it's like, we think of Saddam as like a bad person or like a dictator or like a terrorist because, oh, he was bad to his people and he was like a dictator and like he did these massacres. But it's like, I think that it's framed that way in the media because we want to see him that way because in all reality we did kind of like ruin his country, murder him, like for no reason. Like literally. And so I think that now that we kind of think about that and realize that that's what that was, oh, that whole country notices that we did that. We killed their president and left. But what's worse about that is, okay, Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein, they're in the same little area, but they actually weren't like a team or they weren't like colluding together against America. No, they were both rivals over the land. Saddam Hussein was the president. He was the government official, the actual paper, like, oh, I'm the actual president. And then bin Laden was like a terrorist leader, like almost like a mafia don, like a local gang that was powerful and had almost as much power as the government. And so it seems like in that area, Saddam and bin Laden were like battling for who was going to control that area. They didn't really get along. They had opposing ideas for that area. They each had their own visions. They had their own different visions for that area. Saddam Hussein wanted something different than bin Laden wanted. They were opposing forces. So it's like they were almost at war with each other, trying to see who was going to prevail. And then we went there, killed both of them, and then left. We took away both of their options for their potential future governments. Like, they were working it out amongst themselves. They were having their civil wars. They had their own factions and their sketchy governments. And they were slowly working it out. And they had their sides. Oh, who's going to win, Saddam or bin Laden? Oh, we go in and we kill both of them. We destroy the whole structure of their government. Like, obviously with no plan to, like, fix it or replace it or whatever. Like, we kind of just killed them and then leave. And it's historically known, like, it's not a secret at all, that, oh, we left that place in chaos. We ruined that place. We f***ed up that mission entirely, in a way. We did leave in a bad way. We left it in shambles. Everyone there probably hates us, and that's just kind of a daunting fact of reality.
But it's still shocking just how bad it was. In terms of things not going the way that you thought, our exit was the foreign policy equivalent of putting a cake in the oven and then 40 minutes later taking out a live rat dressed as Hitler. It's not just a f***up, it's a mind-blowing f***up that'll take years to fully comprehend.
But it's weird to think that, yeah, people say, oh, but Saddam was killed by his own people. But you know what's messed up? We went there and made his government execute him. Like, we made his government put him on trial and then hang him. Because hanging him is not an American thing. Hanging him was executing him with their methods. So we went over there and punished him for being the leader of his country. Like, oh, he's made questionable decisions as a dictator, so we should just kill him. But you see how that doesn't make any sense? Because then you would think that we should do the same thing to the Kims in North Korea. Oh, if we're going to be the world police, and if we recognize dictators and we go there and we kill them, then it's like, you know, we have a lot of places we could probably do that too. But now it kind of seems like something else is happening, you know. And so I think it was just trying to snuff out any possible nuclear stuff that was happening over there. And it's kind of sad and messed up that it ended up not even being a thing. Like, we went over there, totally ruined the country, killed the president, killed the other guy, and then realized at the end of it that, oh, they actually don't have any nukes. Or, like, any operation to even try to, like, unless it's hidden or whatever, but we didn't find anything. We kind of at least looked like idiots to everybody, including ourselves. And so, but no, it's weird because we think that, oh, Saddam was this bad dude. Like, Saddam Hussein is in South Park as the devil's husband. Like, he's got such a bad reputation. And I think that we put that reputation on him because it makes us feel better about what we did over there. I don't think that Saddam Hussein was like a terrible person or like a terrorist in the way. Like, I think people get Osama bin Laden mixed up with Saddam Hussein. Osama bin Laden was like a terrorist, murderer, kind of like, let's overthrow America because they're dicks. Like, they were an actual terrorist group that did want to kill Americans. They allegedly attacked the Twin Towers. But Saddam Hussein was not involved in any of that at all. He was just the president of Iraq. I was so confused when I heard, oh, he literally didn't have anything to do with 9/11. Then where did he come from? Why were we beefing with him? Why was he in the public eye? Why did we go over there and you know, why would we care about him having weapons of mass destruction if he wasn't involved in attacking us? Like, at all. Like, there was no even side trail or some weird, like, we think that possibly there's a connection between bin Laden and Hussein. But at the same time, it's kind of known that they didn't totally get along. I guess technically what I'm trying to say is it's like, sure, yeah, we executed Saddam because he did a bunch of genocides and he was a dictator and he killed a bunch of people. But it's just interesting when you think about that on par with, like, okay, everybody that's like a president or like a leader of a country or like a founder of a nation, like, they're all responsible for genocides. They all have done like a massacre or two, at least. And so we often think of him as like a Genghis Khan or like a Alexander the Great type figure, where he was on the front lines of all the killing when it comes to creating his country or whatever. Not that he's the one that created the country, but he was the president. But that's what's interesting is we often think of Saddam like bin Laden, or we think of Saddam as like going around killing a bunch of people. But he was just the president that was like ordering the killings. I don't think Saddam Hussein ever killed anybody himself, interestingly enough. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but yeah, he might not have ever killed anybody himself. He might have just like ordered the killings because he's the president. He would be responsible for deaths or genocides in that way. But so that's why I'm saying that he might not be like the worst person or terrible or any different than any other leader. Like when you think of Genghis Khan, it's like that's, Mongolia is a country now. Their founding and everything is attributed to him. And so countries are always built on a mountain of corpses. That's true in America, that's true in China, it's true in Russia, it's true, it's true everywhere. You have to create your country on a mountain of corpses. And so when we say, oh, but Saddam killed the Turks or the Kurds or whoever was in his land, it's like, okay, yeah, well, that's what everybody does. Everybody that's creating a country has to get everybody that's not their kind of people off their country, and it normally involves killing or converting. And so he wasn't really unique in that way. And it's interesting because there were statues of him too. Like there were statues of Saddam everywhere. And so that kind of shows you that they saw him as like a godly figure, but they saw him as that because he was the president. That goes back to, oh, their religion is different because they recognize that their God lives amongst them. Or they're more religious because they see their God all the time. They don't really have question in their faith because they see their God and they know he's a real person. And so that's a little bit of a side note, but yeah, it's relevant. And so yeah, it's a lot to it. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I just think that's super messed up. We literally just went over there, murdered their president, filmed it, distributed it to the people, whether on accident or on purpose. It was like broadcast like across their city of their president being killed. Like that was a thing that happened recently. I think that was like 2008 or whatever. Like we went there, executed their president on live television. Like to some people, I'm sure that it might not have been broadcast on every station, but I'm pretty sure it was like distributed as like a message, or like we wanted people to know that he was dead. So I guess the best way to confirm that is film his death and then distribute it or leak it, because people definitely saw that footage. People definitely have the notion, oh, America came here, killed our president, filmed it, put it on TV, and then left. Like, that's literally the thoughts they have of us, because we did that. And when you think about why we did that, we don't even know. Like, in all reality, the real answer of why the government did that is not known to the public. We don't know. It could have been the nuclear thing. It could have been just trying to spread Western culture again and suppress any other opposing forces. It could be any number of things. It could be the oil thing. It could be opium. It could be because Saddam was making a Stargate. There's that theory. But it's like... But yeah, it's kind of known that situation was just a shady sort of American... or a shady thing where America just kind of overstepped and maybe we overreacted and we did some things that we probably shouldn't have, but yeah, the government doesn't have to answer any questions about those things. They don't have to put the answers or any stories about it in the news or whatever. They kind of just did their thing, and that's it. People can speculate about why it happened all day, but we were never given an answer. Like, literally. I'm pretty sure that most people think the whole reason that we killed Saddam and we went to war over there is because of the 9/11 thing. But I actually don't even think that was it. I mean, we used the 9/11 thing to declare war, and there's the conspiracy that was an inside set-up job because we wanted to do that. But it's like, but the point is that it is a known secretive thing. To the public eye, our government went over there, murdered them, overthrew their government, and left. Hopefully, as some sort of protective measure of the world. Like let's just hope that America did the right thing and they were going to make nukes, so we had to stop them. Like hopefully it's something like that, and it wasn't just, whatever else. But yeah, that's what's weird, is that's why there's so many conspiracies and there's so many things about it, is because we were never given a real straight answer. And when you really look into it, it's like, why did we kill Saddam Hussein? And why did we do it like that? Like, is that not f***ed up to anybody else that happened? I don't even think that people realize that happened like that. But it's not a secret. And it's not even a conspiracy I'm pretty sure you can look up anything on it or anywhere, and there's not even opposing views on what happened. Like, you can look at any website or any article about the story, and they'll be like, oh yeah, America did that not even that long ago. We all remember it. So it's like, so yeah, so happy 9/11, guys. Where were you? Anyways, be nice to each other. Have a good one. Deuces. Saddam was making a Stargate.